Good morning. My name is Miles.
I'm Avery.
I'm Jolicia.
And I'm Ellie.
In our presentation, we'll be going over how issues with law enforcement and police brutality have affected communities of color in Baltimore. Our first topic is racism. Police brutality is verbal and emotional aggression and intimidation by a police officer. Police brutality can occur regardless of conscious intent of the officer. The effects of police brutality can have health consequences for people who are victimized. An example would be living in unequally policed communities and the consequence being poor health as an initial result, no matter if they themselves have been a victim to police brutality. According to an analysis by the FBI Uniform Crime Reports, Black people are more likely to be arrested for a drug-related crime, although they are not more likely to use or sell them. Black inmates also make up a disproportionate amount of the prison population. Some of these differences can be explained by socioeconomic factors, such as poverty, unemployment, segregation, and neglect by police when it comes to serious crimes. This can lead to more crime and violence in Black communities. To wrap up on this topic, I will address how racial minorities are affected by police brutality. According to an analysis by The Guardian in 2015, racial minorities make up about 37.4% of the general U.S. population, about 46.6% of armed and unarmed victims, and 62.7% of victims killed by police. From this analysis, we can understand that the difference is way more severe for unarmed suspects.
And here in Baltimore City, we have experienced many issues involving the law enforcement and our communities of color. One major problem that impacted Baltimore was the Freddie Gray incident. Gray was known for doing drugs and minor crimes. On April 12, 2015, Gray was arrested for being in possession of an illegal knife. While driving in the police van, Gray was knocked around, went into a coma, and was transferred to the trauma unit. A week later, he passed away. The death of 25-year-old Freddie Gray shocked Baltimore, causing riots down the street, destruction and looting of homes and stores, car fires, and a curfew. Since then, the homicide rate spiked, and police did not arrest as many people. In Baltimore, we have paid $5.7 million over the course of 3 years, involving lawsuits stating that the police officers beat up suspects. The city has been involved in 102 court cases caused by police brutality. In 2014, Greg Bernstein, the city state's attorney, charged 10 officers with assault and 10 with less serious offenses. Police have mistaken innocent people as threats, which caused them to abuse them, shoot them, or possibly kill them. These innocent people are being sent to the hospital to heal from the injuries that the police have given them.
After hearing from Miles and Avery, you might wonder, where are we now? What are the specific problems in the police system, and how do we fix them? Crime rates have increased by 30% in Baltimore City, and is higher than it's ever been before as of 2017. This is happening because of a shortage of police officers. The Baltimore Police Department are experiencing a shortage of recruitments and also can't keep up with those leaving the force, which is making them be hundreds down in officers. This is a huge problem because that means crime rates are going to continue to rise, and to keep people in check, they will most likely use their weapons against victims to protect themselves. This also means that the Baltimore Police Department are going to give their officers overtime, which leads me to the next problem of overworking police officers. Overworking officers can have serious consequences. According to a study done in 2012, shows that officers working excessive amounts of time can suffer from sleep deprivation and increased stress, which cause multiple problems in their work, one of them being more complaints from citizens about police misconduct. Also, with having lots of stress from overtime, just puts you more on edge and easier to be annoyed, which might cause them to be more violent. Another problem within the Baltimore police system is that communities of color and police officers have no trust with each other. Communities of color can't trust police officers because of the past situations of the same criteria, such as Freddie Gray, as mentioned earlier, and the rioting that followed it. Communities of color are frightened because they don't want the same situation to happen to them. They don't trust that the police system will protect them, but hurt them due to their own assumptions. Lastly, I would like to talk about how we can fix these problems. First, I think finding a way to recruit more police officers would fix the problem of shortage of officers and the overworking of those officers, which would lead to less stress, improve their productivity, and hopefully lower crime rates. Secondly, I think allowing those communities of color that feel threatened, know that they will be protected, will build back some of the trust little by little. These solutions are easier said than done, but in time, with real dedication, it could be done.
What I will now be talking about is how the police officers feel and how they are effective. Ted Miller, a principal research scientist at the Pacific Institute for Research and Evaluation, said, "Maybe the decision to pull you over was racially biased. Maybe the decision to arrest you once you were pulled over was racially biased. But who a police officer kills or injures is probably more of a function of who resists arrest or who pulls out a knife or gun." Many police officers are also very ashamed by what is happening. There was a black man that was tased and beaten for jaywalking, and a coworker of that officer said, "The police department is disgusted by his actions and many members of it." Another reason there could be brutality in Baltimore is, as we mentioned earlier, staffing. If there are not enough officers, then the current officers could become frustrated easily and make them take out their anger on other people. I'm not saying that this is an excuse for how they are acting, but it could be a way to see into how they are feeling about this. Now, there have been less and less cases of brutality, especially around young teens and younger people. Again, Ted Miller says, "Another reason may be that more minority parents are coaching their kids to keep their hands out and visible if a police officer approaches them, to ask for permission before reaching for their wallet, and to speak respectfully even when an officer is rude." Meaning that the main reason officers are not beating more people is because children are being trained on how to act around cops. And I know that many white teens have never needed to know this or had to have been taught this. So now our goal should be to work towards a community where people never feel threatened by people who are supposed to keep us safe, to try and create more peace and solidarity between the officers and the community they are serving, and to have more equality between children of color and white children.
There are many ways that individuals can increase the well-being of communities of color. People can support movements like Black Lives Matter that help raise awareness of police brutality. Also, by joining scholars to advocate for documenting police-related deaths. This can help bring these issues to public health departments so they can further monitor these issues.